All right, Moni, what's the question?
All right, so KP's question is one thing they saw on the railway between Stormwind and Ironforge. There are at least 2 stops that could be added. Their question is, do we know if they have any plans to use those?
Wait, what can be added? Sorry.
There's 2 additional stops. I believe they're talking about how there's like 3 rail cars in the train between Stormwind and Ironforge.
Okay, yeah.
And they're just curious if you think that there's any plans to add additional stops to that along the way, because it does seem to be just like a one-way pipe.
Yeah, I mean, the tram was sort of developed as a quick in-between, connecting Ironforge and Stormwind. The idea behind it was... So, if my early lore is correct, and I could be very wrong about this because this has been years since I've actually read anything about this, but so it served sort of 2 purposes, the tram line between Stormwind and Ironforge. Option number 1, or the first purpose, was supplies. Stormwind gets most of its weapons, its guns, swords, all of that comes from Ironforge. Ironforge is kind of the black mages, or the blacksmiths, rather, of Azeroth, or of the Alliance. So the Alliance uses that to very quickly get armors and weapons and stuff like that transported from one to the other, specifically technological weapons, because Ironforge also home to the gnomes. This is where technology is, the heart of technology for the Alliance. So at the fall of Lordaeron, and of course Ironforge and Stormwind becoming the new capital, this tram was kind of implemented as a quick way of getting supplies in and out. The other one is Ironforge is a death trap. So if Ironforge is ever under attack, there's nowhere you can go. There's one entrance in, one entrance out. It's literally built in a mountain. So unless you have another way out, you're basically stuck in there and you're gonna die in there. So the tram line is kind of a way for them to escape. It's sort of like a defensive retreat kind of thing. And of course, a way for Stormwind to send soldiers very quickly in case if they need it. Now, could they add?
Had that. That actually happened when the Dark Iron dwarves rejoined with Ironforge, and before they made the Council of 3 Hammers with 1 representative from each of the clans.
Yeah.
Moira took Ironforge by force, or attempted to, and the Alliance actually took the tram to Ironforge as an invasion point.
Yeah.
Basically, that way they don't have to, try and lay siege to a freaking mountain.
Exactly. It's kind of like it serves multiple purposes. Now, is that the end stop of the tram? I fucking hope not. But this goes into the first thing we spoke about. There's so much in our world that is smaller stories, no doubt. If Blizzard did, for example, extend the Deeprun Tram, is that a major lore story? Of course not. Would it be cool? Yes, of course it would be. Can you imagine, for example, if Kalia Menethil retakes Lordaeron, yeah? And this time retakes Lordaeron in the name of the Alliance, and they decide to extend the Deeprun Tram from Ironforge to Lordaeron. This is a cool bit of world building. It's not gonna, write any books. It's not gonna sell any books. It's not gonna be a showstopper, but it would be cool. Eventually, if the gnomes can retake Gnomeregan and have that city of their own, I don't know how, I'm pretty sure they haven't done that yet, right? But it would, again, imagine if it could go there. That would be a cool bit of world building and lore building. If they added more stops to the Deeprun Tram, that would be a cool bit of story. So it would be nice if Blizzard could do more with the things that is already in the game. This is why so many people want Blizzard to focus back on Azeroth, because there's so many stories and little things on Azeroth that never got completed. It's just there. It just sort of waits. And the player base is obviously going, dude, can we maybe finish some of these stories, some of these cool little things that just never went anywhere? Entire zones on Azeroth exist that has never seen major stories. It's just a zone that you quest through, but there's no major story in that zone. And you can absolutely add some major story to those zones. So yeah, I think it could be KP, but I mean, I would have to be in the minds of the writers and also in the minds of Blizzard's developers to know if they have any plans for it. Because right now it seems like we're still stuck in very much the mindset of what old world, pretty much the same as the sword. What old world? Who cares? That's long gone and forgotten. No one cares about that. We're not going to go back and fix that. When in reality, so many people would find so much content if the old world got utilized a little bit more and actually, used for something other than just it existing as sort of like a thing because it used to exist in the past. But yeah, sadly, I don't have a very, I think, deep answer to that, other than yes, it could, but I don't know. So yeah, Moni, that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the long and short of it, is that I do hope they go back to the old zones and do something with it.
Yeah.
I was going to comment on what you had said about, what sword the Blizzard's devs, their current thought process is new cosmic threat, who dis?
yeah, pretty much, right? It's just annoying for me because, I've recently played a lot of Final Fantasy XIV and just loving that story, but it's sort of the prime example of what I'm talking about. In Final Fantasy XIV, nothing is ever introduced and then just forgotten. Even if all you do is sometimes go back. So there's like small things that take you back. A good example of this would be right at the end of ARR, Ul'dah and the sort of city-states are thrown into a state of chaos. Now, the story that continues from that moment on is the story of Heavensward and Ishgard. So you're not really dealing with Ul'dah now. You escaped Ul'dah with your life, and you can't go back because the Syndicate is and Lord Lorarito is basically running the show now, right? So you can't actually go back there. But every once in a while, they sort of have a meanwhile back in Ul'dah. A quest that maybe just informs you of a development in Ul'dah. So you have your story of Ishgard going, but every once in a while they stop you and go, oh, by the way, remember the Ul'dah thing? This is what has been happening in your absence. This is where the story is going right now. So you're constantly pulled back until that story completes itself. The writers don't forget about it because they don't want the players to forget about it. And I wish Blizzard would start doing that. Stop forgetting that you have sort of pokes in the fire. You have all these different pokes in the fire, and Blizzard sort of leaves the majority of the pokes and just goes with one or two. And then the other pokes sort of get to the point where no one even cares anymore, and then they bring it back. And it's at that point, it's sort of like, man, what the fuck? We should have been dealing with this so long ago. Why are we going back now to deal with this? So yeah, it's a small annoyance. It's not something that breaks the game. I don't want this to sound like, oh my god, Accolonn is just finding any reason to shit on Blizzard, because this is not even a reason to shit on Blizzard. This is sort of like my all-time favorite Christmas wish list would be this, right? I'm fine without it, but it would be a nice to have. So yeah, that's sort of it. But yeah, on the Deeprun Tram, I don't have much else to add to that question.
No, me neither. The next person is actually one that we have in voice chat. It's Brock, so I'll go and send him in.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Moni. Really appreciate that.